Game of the Month really is trying to highlight, a game that I guess, the most people within our content team sort of enjoyed. And while, we did talk a little bit about Talos and we talked a little about Lara Croft, when we did the poll for this month as to who, what game was actually deserving, most people came back with Toad. So, that was the game that everyone just, happened to fall in love with in the month of December.
Super adorable, super fun. A lot of they took the puzzles from Super Mario 3D World that had Toad and sort of expanded it into its full game. I know they announced it in June, and people were sort of worried about it.
I was really worried. So I think it was their E3 press conference that they first announced it, and I like those levels in Super Mario 3D World, but I thought, how are they going to get a whole game out of this? Because there were nice little palette cleansers in Super Mario 3D World, and it sort of felt lame that there was kind of overreaching having a whole game just on Toad, but I was wrong. It's a really sort of compelling experience. It's not too long, so it's still still somewhat of a budget title, and you could probably, if you rush through it, finish it in about 3 hours. But there's so much sort of replayability in this game, and I think you were mentioning this just before we started shooting about how you like having to play through those levels multiple times.
Yeah, I think that's where the meat of the game really comes from. It's not just a game where you experience a level and you move on. There's secrets everywhere, and then each level also gives you this extra thing that you can you can check off. Did you break the bridge? You can actually finish this level without doing that. And kind of the levels are short enough where you don't feel frustrated to go back and get those things. I would happily play through it again to get that perfect level.
I was surprised by how much variety they managed to get in it too, because if you thought these were just going to be levels that you saw in Super Mario 3D World, in which you have a level, a smallish level, and you just keep twisting it around till you find the right path. But they managed to get, all these, they have running levels, they have boss levels, which is amazing.
And it uses the gamepad?
Yeah, it uses the game in the mine cart
Yeah, there's
levels.
This level where you're in a mine cart, and although you can see it on your TV screen, this large, overwhelming, you just in the cart, you have to use your gamepad to be able to maneuver around and look and see where to throw the turnips. You throw things to get their stars and everything like that. It was such a cool way, and we always felt like the gamepad is never utilized enough.
What I super loved about Captain Toad were the boss levels. I was sort of going into it, I was very wary of maybe it wouldn't work out because it's so hard to have a boss level when you have a character that is so handicapped that can't really do anything and you're in this tiny little box space. But I think that the game did a really good job of making bosses feel threatening and making you feel like you actually had a challenge to overcome and then being challenging.
And it just felt really fresh. I mean, because all year we had the typical shooters, and we had a lot of grimdark stuff, and we had, Shadow of Mordor, which was a game of the year, which was like an ultra-violent, sort of really depressing atmosphere to be in. And it was just great to get to December and have something sort of light and fun, and Toad and Toadette just screaming their little heads off. It was just really, really cute. And I think that one of the best things we found out also about this game is an interview you did with the creators of the game.
Yeah.
About the nature of Toad and Toadette. So do you want to go into that a little bit more?
So they're not in a relationship. They're not an item.
Yes.
They're not together. They are adventure pals. That's the official quote from Nintendo. And they Toads actually don't really have a gender per se. Toadette isn't necessarily, it's not like a Smurfette situation with Toadette. But they are all, I guess, like a genderless race that I guess choose to identify as they will. Nintendo said they never really thought about it too much, but that was the answer they gave me. And I thought it was super interesting. It's canon.
This is canon.
The Toads are a genderless race. I love correcting people when they're like, Toadette, she actually. Yes. So, yeah, no, I think it's super interesting.